Hey guys, welcome to another Sunday morning View Q. It's April 21st, and again we have a bunch of great questions today. So today I'm going to be going over things like where I get my hair done, and also what my budget is for the road, ways to make a living on the road, benchmark maps, how to do some travel planning, and more. Hey everybody, happy Sunday, and thanks for tuning in to another Sunday morning View Q, where I answer all my favorite viewer questions from the last View Q that was 2 weeks ago. So if you have a question after seeing the one today, please do put it in the comments below. If the question isn't about me specifically and it's something that I don't know the answer on, but you guys pique my interest, I'll go out and research it for you. Now before I get into the questions this week, just an update that I will be doing my full organizational video and my tour this coming Wednesday and Sunday. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do, and then hit the little bell so you get notifications. So let me get right into the viewer questions. The first question is from Kim W., who says, I love your hair, thanks. How do you get it done? Well, look, I get this question all the time, which I think is funny because a lot of women out there are thinking about going on the road and they're worried that they're not going to have access to a good hairdresser. And you guys, do you see this? I cut this myself. Now look, if I went to a regular hairdresser, they would probably call me Edward Scissorhands or something. You know, it's not great. But I cut out all my old dyed brown hair, as you probably see from the intro video. I had long brown hair. I tried to keep it up when I got on the road, but you know, it just took too much power to dry it and too much water to wash it. And I actually wanted to see myself go gray. I mean, guys get to see themselves go gray more than we do. And I wasn't sure, you know, what it would look like. I'm happy with it. But all of the fake brown is gone now, which is one reason to have it short. I may grow it back out, but I probably won't. I love it short. It's a lot easier for me to do in the RV. But, of course, with short hair, you have to cut it a lot. So what I do is I actually got a men's razor that has the little gauges on it, you know, like 2, 3, 4, 5 to do the sides. There's actually like an undercut up here. So I do this myself, and then I just take scissors, and girls, you better believe I watch some YouTube videos to learn how to cut my own hair. Now, when I'm near a town in the near future, I'll probably go and have it professionally redone. But, you know, the first time I did this, I cut my hair in a campground bathroom without a mirror. All I had was like the paper towel dispenser. I could barely see myself, but it had gotten too shaggy and I could not take it. So I just hacked it off and it was fine. It was fine, it grows back. So I get that question a lot, so I thought I'd start off with that one. Yeah, cut it myself. Ooh, Anne said, question, what editing program do you use? In the recommendations, I assume she means in my Amazon store, it lists movie pics. Did you get the one-time download or the lifetime subscription? Do you use Mac or Windows? I have zero experience with editing or making videos for YouTube, and I would like to do it in the future. I've seen so many poorly made videos, and yours are so organized and concise and interesting. So look, Anne, thank you to you for telling me this, because I went and looked on my store, and I actually added the wrong thing. What I added into my store, which is now corrected, was a book on Adobe Premiere movie pics. That is not what I use. I have corrected it now. So you guys, in my description and also pinned at the top of comments, of course, now I have my Amazon storefront where you can see everything I've ever recommended. So if you go in there, you can see my camera and my lenses and tripods and all that stuff. And now it has Adobe Premiere Elements. That's the software that I use. It's $60 forever for the version that you have, no subscription. And there is Premiere Pro, but it looked a little complicated to me. Most of the tutorials out there are on Pro, but girl, I had no idea what I was doing. The very first video that I did was Organize It with Tiki, and it took me 3 weeks full time all day to edit that video. And you know, it was my first one. It's still kind of a hot mess, but you know, one of my cameras had no sound and the other one had no light, and I had to figure it out. And I actually tried to hire people like on Fiverr to train me, and I couldn't find anybody, so I just muddled through it, did tutorials, and learned it myself. Now, I was just training a friend of mine on Premiere yesterday, and after an hour of going through it, she was able to make a video in about 2 hours that was pretty decent. So I do recommend it. It seems a little complicated at first when you've never done it, but after you've done a few, it's really, really simple. So I do recommend that software, and thank you for telling me, because I had an error, and I appreciate you for correcting me. Okay, Ariel says, "Hi Robin, we have a question specifically about the Tiffin Wayfarer. We've been bouncing between an RV or a van conversion for a while and fell in love with the Wayfarer. Could you go over the reasons you chose it, and has it been a worthwhile investment?" Okay, well, you know, I've had it for 3 months, and so I'm still learning, but I can tell you I like it a lot better than my leisure travel van that I had that was a B+. Now, the Wayfarer is a little bit taller and a little bit longer, and it's a Class C, so it's a little more top-heavy than what I was used to driving before, so that was an adjustment, but I'm very happy with it. The people at Tiffin are amazing. I know several of the people in the service department by name, and we chat on the phone, and you know, if they don't know the answer to a question, they find out the answer and they get back to me. Recently, I had a check engine light on. They hooked me up with their Mercedes guy. I got some clarification on stuff. He worked with the shop that I went to. The service has been amazing. In addition to that, it has a bigger water tank than what I had before, which I wanted. And the layout is so much better than a Murphy bed. I have the twin beds that you guys probably saw in the little intro tour that I did. And besides that, it had sumo springs, which is supposed to give it a better ride. So far, I have not been able to tell, and I'll get to that in a different video because I drove in some high winds and I had some issues from that. So I'm getting those corrected. I'll tell you more about it later. But I can tell you that it's extremely well made, and the service is great, and I can get the service right here in the States. And so, yeah, I recommend it. Although someday I'll probably convert my own van too. So I get it. It's a hard decision. Okay, moving on. Okay, Sun Vegan 6, who left me a few questions, and I appreciate it, said, "Got the Washington and Oregon benchmark maps like you suggested. Trying to understand how these help." Well, look, I thought the same thing. And the benchmark map is like a huge paper map that you can get by state. And I do recommend that in my store, and I've recommended it in some of my blog posts. Here's why I like it and I think it's good. If you're going to be boondocking in a particular state, and you want to really know where all of the back roads are, the Forest Service roads, sometimes those are hard to see on like Google Maps, or if somebody else hasn't left a review, say in freecampsites.net or something like that, it's hard to know what the roads are. Now, you can always stop at a Forest Service center or a BLM office, and they will give you paper maps, but just for that area. And they're kind of unwieldy and hard to use. The benchmark map gives you the state and all the main roads, and then all of the dirt roads, the topography, and they also color code it by land use. So you can see if it's a Corps of Engineer land or BLM land or Forest Service land. And they also tell you nearby stuff that you can do and see and trails. And so if you're going to be a boondocker in some back roads in a certain state, it's good for that purpose, because sometimes you don't have a cell signal to look that stuff up, and you don't have to stop every time you want to go to a backcountry road and stop by the Forest Service office. So that's all. I hope that helps you. Okay, Jana Koenig says, "Your question videos always make me smile. Thanks. I have a question. Are you finding it more difficult to find inexpensive and or free camping now that you're trying to stay in a smaller geographic area?" Well, yes and no. So you guys know I came home to Colorado because my mom was sick, and I have now been heading out of Colorado. But while I was here, one problem that I did run into here is that if you're closer to a city, you really don't have a lot of options except for stealth camping or state parks or RV parks, and that can get expensive except for the stealth camping. And, you know, those are really packed, and that's not really how I like to camp, especially on the weekends. But if I go just a little bit out of the city to a forested area, a lot of those campgrounds are closed, or the roads are closed, or they're muddy right now because all the snow is melting. So recently I have had trouble finding some camping. But I'll tell you this, I did a video once called "You Have Options, How to Find 5 Camping Options in 5 Square Miles," and I will link that for you below. Usually you have a lot more options unless you're close to a city. If you're close to a city, you need to find 2 or 3 go-to places and just rotate between them. And I know that a lot of people do that, especially if they fall in love with a particular town. Now, one thing I have considered doing, because it's closer to Colorado, is getting a New Mexico State Park Pass, for example. I wish all states would do this, but it's, I think, $230 if you're a non-resident, and then you can camp for free at any of the New Mexico state parks. If you want to hook up, it's another $4. So yeah, it can be tricky, but it just really depends on the place you're going to. And another thing I'll say is, don't just check freecampsites.net or like Reserve America, that kind of a place. Go into Google and say camping near me, and you'll be amazed at what you'll find. Lots of different options will come up, and there's lots of different review-driven camping apps, and they'll all have different sites on there. You can compile them, and actually I'm going to skip ahead to a question on planning, because this was actually my favorite question of the day. So let me actually scroll down to that one. Oh look, it's Sun Vegan again. You had some good questions. I saw some other ones I thought about putting on here too, but I could only choose a few. Okay, how do you gather and organize data about potential travel places, things of interest, etc.? I've started a spreadsheet with states as categories. It's chaos. So in my book, I actually have a travel planner spreadsheet that you can use that I have used on Excel, because sometimes I'll be talking to a friend and they'll say, I'm at the best place in this state. And I'll say, please send me the GPS, because I'll forget later. And when I'm going through that state, I wanted to have a place to write it down. But to be honest, when I get to that state, I forget that I have those things, and I just search like I normally would. So I have been searching for another way myself. So I'm writing a whole new piece to go into my book, Be a Nomad, Change Your Life, and I'll explain how you get those updates in a second, because I wanted to find a better way to do that. And so let me give you a screenshot right now of what I found. You guys are all probably familiar with Google Maps. And when you go into Google Maps to search for an address, or if you're just signed into Google, I think, and your GPS is on, actually you can go into Google My Maps. And I'm going to show that to you right now. So if you go into My Maps on your phone, I have not found this to work on a computer. You can actually go up to the hamburger icon, which are the 3 lines up there, and go to history, and it will show you every place that you've been. And look, don't get on me. You can erase the history. You can turn all this off, Google it, but that's not what this is about if you don't want someone tracking your history. But for me, it was actually kind of cool, because here, look, this is my computer, and this is me going into Google My Maps. Now, I was actually really surprised when I was doing my research to see that a whole bunch of my spots have been in there that I did not add. They were just there automatically. See this screen with all these little pins? These are all places that I have been. Unfortunately, when I clicked on it, it doesn't tell me the time or the date or how long I was there or anything. But that was a really good gauge for me to see where I had been. And before that, on my blog, I actually started a map to share with people that automatically updated on my blog that showed my routes. And you know, that one I had to update, and I kept forgetting to update it. But here's a shot of what that looks like. Now, what I found is, if you're in either one of those things, you can go up to the upper left-hand corner and say Add Map. So I've done that here, and I'm putting together some future travel spots. So you can build your own map. So if your friend says she loves a place, you take the GPS, you paste it up into the search bar. It's going to put a pin down at that place. Click the pin. A white box is going to come up, and there's a little Add Place marker. If you hit that, that will add that place onto your travel planning map that you can create, and you can actually put in notes like, Robin said this is great, Jill said this is great, you know, free electric, bad Wi-Fi, whatever it is that you want to put in there. And that's what I've started to do. I think it works really well, and it would be great if we could all start sharing our favorite places. I know a lot of people don't like to share because they feel like it's going to get overrun with people, but that's what happens on freecampsites.net, you know, because everybody sees one review on freecampsites.net and 100 people run there. Just look around. Usually there's a ton of spots 2 miles away from what other spots everyone else goes to. Okay, this one is about budget and how to make a living on the road, which is super important. You know, I have lots of info on this on my blog, and also I've done videos on this and in the book, but Personally, I think it's important to have a budget and then know how you're going to hit that number before you hit the road. Because the last thing you want is to be stranded somewhere or not be able to make a living and then have to stop your nomadic dream. And so I'll tell you what my plan is and how you can make a living here in just a second. But let me read this question. Tech Tricks 1 said, "Hi Robin, you were wonderful, positive, and smart. Thanks. You really cheered me up." And then she goes on, "I'm wondering how much does it cost monthly to live in an RV? I did not see a video on your site with a specific title." I do. I have a budget video. If you go into playlists, you go to Be a Nomad, Change Your Life, the playlist. I have a budget video. And so I'll tell you that number here in a second. I really want to become a digital nomad like you. My parents are freaking out and they say it's not safe for women. So they are scaring me even though I am almost 50. I have a boyfriend and he's not supportive either. And I have very low income and she doesn't like her job. But here's the good news. She can do SEO, web development, research, blogging, digital marketing, and all kinds of other stuff. So I'm looking for a digital nomad job now. Any advice is appreciated. Okay, first of all, if you guys have never heard the phrase digital nomad, a lot of people that live in RVs do use this if they're not retired and they're making a living from their computer, through the internet. They can do a job from anywhere. But this is also a phrase that's used all over the world for people that travel full time and they can do their job anywhere. So like Thailand or Europe, really popular places like that. You'll see lots of articles on that if you search. The next thing I can say is don't let anybody scare you. People have bad experiences on the road and off the road, and there is risk in everything. Not that, there's no risk in being on the road. There is some risk in being on the road. For me, I've said this before, I'm a lot more concerned about having a medical issue when I'm far away from a town than I am, some scary guy with a hook coming and scratching at the side of my RV. Not really worried about that. But I think you have to be careful about where you're camping, who you're camping with, and, just being prepared. So if something happens, you have a plan ready to go. The only thing you can do is tell your people that you have that all figured out, and then show them by example that it's okay once you hit the road. That's what I had to do. And it's been fine. I haven't had any bad experiences. In fact, I did a video called No Fear Here because, I don't really respond to other channels or try and do the drama or anything, but there was a video going around for a while that was scaring some people. And I had several commenters say that it was scaring them and they were thinking maybe they wouldn't go on the road because of this one lady's experience. And then my mom saw it and she got scared. And so I'll link that video below just to tell you what I think. But look, being a nomad doesn't have to be forever. And just be smart, just like you would in a city. I mean, we have to be smart no matter where we go. That doesn't mean we can't embrace life and live and do whatever we want to do. Okay, so now to the money question. I live on $1,300 a month on the road, excluding health insurance. And I've said before, I don't put that number in because some people don't pay anything on Medicaid. Some people are vets and they may have something through that, or Medicare, or they might have a job, or they choose not to have health insurance, or their health insurance could be $1,500 a month. Everybody is so different that I didn't put my number in because I didn't want to muddy the big figure. So for $1,300 a month, I pay for my insurance, I pay for my groceries, I budget for places to camp at $200 a month and things like that. So I think what you have to do is look and see if you have any debt, look at your total expenses, bring them down as much as you can, and then search for digital nomad jobs. Now, in the book, which we're updating, and I'm going to get to that in a second, I think we have 17 links for job sites, and we're actually updating that. We've got about 5 more that we're adding and some more descriptions there based on skill set. So look out for that. That's coming soon. But for you and your skill set, you have a ton of options. So let me tell you this. Go to Fiverr, might be a good one for you. TaskRabbit might be another good one for you. There are contract work sites where you can just do a blog post or some web design or something like that, SEO, and that would be great. But I'll also tell you that if you're from that industry, you might think about going to LinkedIn and or network with people that you know, and just send out a bunch of emails to people and say, hey, I'm an SEO whatever expert. I can do your web design, your blog, whatever. I'm looking for new clients. I'm bringing on new clients. I work virtually. And you'd be surprised, a lot of the people that have these, especially small businesses, and don't have a team of people to do that, need people like you to do that work. Because, I mean, you know, they look at metadata or something and like, you know, glaze over like I did when I first started. So, I mean, the sky's the limit on that, but I'll tell everybody else. I mean, I know people that walk dogs state to state, or they house sit state to state, or there's some really good sites for people that can do tutoring, carpenter work. Lyft actually will let you drive state to state. I think it's Lyft, if I remember from my research, not Uber, but it could be both. So, you know, you just have to think about your skill set. And look, research I've done recently says that by, I think it's 2022, 60% of workers will be working virtually. They might work for the regular company and be in the same town and just be in their house. But companies are finding they don't want to spend the money on the infrastructure and the real estate and HR and all that stuff. So things are trending that way. So I think the opportunities are just going to get better. So yeah, you can absolutely do it. For me personally, I made sure that I had those revenue streams starting before I hit the road. Okay. And let me get to the final question, which I have two questions about the book. So you guys know my book is on Amazon, and thank you for all of the wonderful reviews on the book. I love you guys. Joe Schaff, I think, says, how do I switch your book to an Apple tablet? I'm glad you asked this, because at one point I said you could put the book on your computer or your phone, and I had a few people going, it doesn't go on a computer. That wasn't true. It does. You just have to Google how to do it. So let me give you the instructions. I still have my glasses on here, because anybody can do this for any kind of device. If you have an Android or an Apple or a computer, whatever, just go into your app store and search for the Kindle app, and then download that. You go in and register that Kindle app with whatever password you bought the book with. It'll link it to your Amazon account, and then you just go up and tell it to import your books or whatever books you want to import. So you can absolutely import the book onto your Apple tablet, and anybody else can get it on their computer that way, or their phone or whatever. So I hope that helps. Okay, and finally, Jackie Vickery says, I purchased your ebook when it first came out. It's wonderful, and your YouTube channel is great. Thank you. Has there been any updates to your book? And if so, how do I download them? Okay, so you guys know that this last book that I wrote is a digital book only at this point. I'm thinking about doing a paper book because so many people have asked for it. But there are over 200 links in that book. And I'm going to be updating the links to make sure that you guys have the information. So it's like a living book to me. As long as it's available, I will be updating it for you guys. So to answer your question, the book is updated every week. We go in and update any broken links. Amazon notifies us of any problems that are in the book, and we rectify them and reload the manuscript right back up. So that's not a problem. Every quarter, we are going back through and editing for content. As I'm doing my research, when I find new things that I think I want to share with you, like how to create your own Google map, for example, or more health insurance options, or more camping options, or safety, or whatever, I may be adding a paragraph, or I may be removing a paragraph. For example, another person mentioned in the last VUQ that escapees had a health insurance plan, and I wrote them back this morning and I said, yeah, that's in the book, but I was doing some updates this week, and I was going back through and just checking information, and that changed. Escapees stopped taking new enrollees at the end of last month. So that's being taken out of the book. So that's the kind of thing that's going to be happening quarterly, including like job site updates. And all you have to do is make sure your book is set to update. And whether I'm fixing a link or updating content quarterly, so this is all you have to do to make sure that you're getting the updates. You can keep this turned on, or you can go ahead and just update it periodically, or when you hear me announce that we've done the quarterly updates, which I will be doing on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Just look out for it, but just know that it is happening quarterly. So if you just want to do this quarterly, you can. So no matter what device you have it on, your computer, your tablet, your phone, whatever, since you purchased it in Amazon, you go into Amazon, and then you're going to go to your account, and you're going to see a thing you can click that says Manage Your Content and Devices. Hit the Settings tab, and then you're going to see Automatic Book Update, and just make sure that that's turned on. You can do this also directly from some e-readers up in the settings for the e-reader. So I hope that that helps you. The link to my Amazon store is down below. Oh, and you know what? Actually, last week I had a lady comment that she purchased a lot of stuff for her job through Amazon and wanted to know if she went into my storefront and then purchased stuff for the job, would I get credit? I think I do. So I appreciate it if anybody wants to do that. I know if you go to the Amazon store link below and, look at the gear, look at stuff that I've mentioned recently on YouTube, but then do your own shopping. And like I've said before, this channel gets a very small commission, and it doesn't cost you anything else. So if you like this channel and you want to support it, I appreciate it. If any of your friends can use this info, please do share it with them. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope to see you all out on the road someday. And until then, I wish you all happy travels and be free.